Um, okay, so this video is a bit different than my normal videos because in most of my videos it's very I'm just really thinking off the top of my head and not as well articulating. So I've got some notes down and I I don't just want to do surface level documentation of where I'm at. I also want to do um kind of something deeper. Maybe like deeper perspectives or a deeper just something that is more, I don't know. But this is kind of a video on, like, as someone who's strived pretty hard for self-improvement. I watched thousands of videos on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all self-improvement. I got fully into the culture, and as someone who has absorbed all of it, from just all of it. I I kind of wrote some notes on what I truly think about it and my true perspective on all of the self-improvement media and culture. And I know it's all different, but if you if I'll just say what I think here, and I mean, you can take what you want from it if anyone ends up watching these. But yeah. So, in today's world, success has become a product, kind of like influencers packaging their habits and their routines and their philosophies. So everything that works for them, like they're universal, like they apply to everybody, but they don't. And like guys like me who were maybe young teenagers, and they they consume this content and they kind of internalize, that's a good word, a formula of what would make them successful through habits, routines, philosophies, and they'll they'll kind of only achieve the results that they see on screen, which is not really the results you want when you get down into it. Uh, it gets lost because the success you're looking for doesn't come from a formula. It's more of a direction. And it's kind of like you got to remember that there will always be problems. There's no such thing as the perfect success, because chasing success to get rid of your problems isn't viable. Unless it's truly dependent on your survival, then it's not chasing a goal. It's more of the goal of surviving. But chasing success isn't, it just changes your problems. There's no such thing as really getting rid of your problems. Like people talk about, like it's a final state, or if you stack enough self-improvement, you enter that final state, but it's not how it really is, because there's always a new challenge, a new insecurity, a new fear, and there's no really, even the lifestyle, even the habits you get into, even people who act like they have no insecurities and no fears, or they confront all their fears, there will always be new problems. That's really specific, because instead of the only real constant is movement towards a goal, not the fantasy of reaching kind of a perfect other side area you're looking for. And you gotta remember, happiness doesn't erase pain, and pain doesn't erase happiness. They coexist in a, I don't know if, depending on your belief, you could say perfect balance or not, but yeah, they exist in a balance. And you can't have one without the other. So you will always have problems, and no thing will change that. And when these influencers put out their stuff, they're saying what worked for their personality and their environment that they developed in, where their problems developed and where their goals developed, with their psychological wiring, with their circumstances. All of these things are for them. And we kind of have this bias where we're searching for these self-improvement videos, where when we find these, we relate them to our situations when they're different, just because we're biased and we want them to relate to our situations. And constant self-improvement content can really backfire, because the more you consume, the more it shoves in your face what you quote-unquote should be doing, what you quote-unquote could be doing, and everything that's quote-unquote wrong with you. It creates kind of a loop. Like, watch content to feel inspired, feel more aware of your flaws, and then watch more content to fix those flaws, and then feel even worse and repeat. And it's not the influencer's fault or the content's fault. It's kind of just how we're wired as human beings. So instead of focusing on your actual life, just start focusing on the ideal version of yourself. You don't want to just blend it in with all the content creators until you're no longer sure what you truly want, because it just creates, you think that adding all this self-improvement knowledge will get you somewhere, and you think it's improving, but it's just creating more confusion. Real self-improvement comes from being present with yourself. So instead of chasing improvement before living your life, growth happens during the chase. So it's not like you're preparing for the chase. You're watching all these videos. You're preparing to improve yourself. You taking the actions to get where you want to go towards your goals, that is where the improvement happens. And the clarity of that comes from spending time with your own thoughts. It comes from noticing what drains you and what energizes you, developing your own systems through trial and error. So all of these, and it's like all of these will come from chasing your goal. And all this stimulation is just setting you back. Because success isn't about copying a path. It's more like walking your own and processing it, because in this world of high stimulation content, we don't have time to process our own path. So you get, as a lot of people have, this kind of mental wall. So you're on your path and you run into a bump. And instead of processing and working over that bump where the self-improvement happens, you hit that bump, but you've been taking all this stimulating content, so you have that brain block. And instead of meditating or relaxing and getting rid of that brain block, or being bored to get rid of it, you search up more stimulation to answer your problems. And yeah, your path will be shaped by, like, influencers can share ideas, perspectives, motivation, but they can't hand you a map, because the map is the one, like, you need to see yourself. The map is within you, kind of. I know it's kind of corny to say, but that's the truth. Your personality, your fears, your strength, your values, your experiences, your failures, that is what makes you you, and that's the blueprint you're building from. And it's kind of a paradox, because anything that's general enough from these influencers that can apply to you, you'll think of on your own pretty quickly on your journey. And anything that is specific, niche to these influencers' personality doesn't apply to you. So it's kind of like either way you swing, it's not good. And yeah, it's a hard one because you are so online, and it's like a tutorial on how to be better, and it makes you feel better when you're watching them, but it doesn't really help. And I just kind of wanted to get that across after spending over 5 years just watching these videos, planning, starting stuff. And there will always be progress, and there will always be setbacks, and there will always be problems, but and that's the thing, is you are biased, which means that as all these setbacks come in and this progress comes in and everything flows, when you add in a little bit of that self-improvement content, you automatically, through your bias, you convince yourself that's helping you, and you convince yourself that what's not helping you is the bad stuff that they're talking about in their content. But the truth is, you would just be better off without their content and without the stimulation. I'm not saying switch over to other content, because that's stimulation as well. I'm saying with who you are, you need to follow your own journey and go through your own bumps, and that will take reflection. So you can't stimulate yourself through porn or through scrolling and high dopamine stimulations, but you can, and not numbing your brain and feeling through boredom, but you will end up where you're supposed to be. If you be who you are and do the actions that that person would take, you will end up exactly where you're supposed to be. And that is better self-improvement advice than anyone on the internet will ever give you. And you literally just need to be yourself. Don't numb yourself down through social media. Don't numb yourself down through brain fog. Just be who you are. Take the actions that you would take, not influenced by your environment or anyone around you. Take the actions you as a person would take, and just enjoy your life, because it'll take you where you want to go. And you will always have problems, as I said, but it's about having the problems that, if you follow your path and end up where you want to go, those problems, there'll still be problems. There'll always be problems, but those problems will be problems that coexist with who you are, because you've taken the path to go where you want to, so you understand the problems. And if you can't handle those problems, you'll move down the line and just keep going on the path to reach different problems that you're comfortable with, because there will always be problems, kind of. I'll go more into that in another video, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about, as someone who's gone through all of that self-improvement stuff, kind of why it's not it. I know this video was a lot of yapping, and I'd be surprised if anyone really made it through it, if anyone ever watches these. But I don't even know if I got any of my point off clearly, but yeah. I'm still working on my articulation and my speaking, and a lot of those words I just was reading from my notes that I wrote down earlier while meditating. And yeah, I'm still working on the articulation, but I hope I kind of got the idea across. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope this is definitely a longer video, 15 minutes. Yeah, I think it's one of the better videos though. So that's the end. I got a new haircut, cleaned off the side, cleaned up the back, and sideburns. I asked him to like cut it in line with my cheekbones, which I think he did a pretty good job of. Just because like if it's over that line of your cheekbones, it kind of makes you look like a mushroom, and if it's under, it kind of makes your head look a bit skinny. I think he went more on like the skinny side, but it's kind of similar to a mullet, which is pretty popular here, so I mean it's not too bad, but I like it. So new haircut, cool. And yeah, that's the end of the video.